What's up, world? This is Rob with Live Loud coming at you guys again with another episode of Say It Loud. So if you guys are loving stories, if you guys want to hear about impactors, people who are creating change around the world, this is the place to do so. So today I have my guest, Ariana, who I was recently introduced to, who's doing a number of things in the health and wellness world. And I'll let her formally introduce herself with all the things that she's up to. So Ariana, thank you so much for jumping on the call with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be a part of this. So as you said, I have my hands in the health and wellness world. My whole journey started when I was young. I was an athlete my whole life. And as soon as I was, I think 12 years old, which probably sounds a little ridiculous, but I would start to go to the gym with my mom and just stay active. I was very active as a child. And then high school, college came around, and then I didn't play sports anymore, but I decided to study kinesiology. Actually, to backtrack, my senior year of high school, I enrolled in an ROP program for esthetician work. And so my goal was I'm going to be an esthetician while I'm in college to make money as a better paying job as a college student. And it worked. So I did that for a while, and then college came around. I was studying kinesiology. I think just because I wanted to do something again with the human body, and I was like, well, okay, let's try this. And so I studied undergrad kinesiology, and then I started personal training. And I'm still a personal trainer. So that's something that I've been doing now going on 4 years. And it's been really awesome. I think I work really well working one-on-one with people, because I can kind of dive into questions and have them dig deeper into, well, what is preventing this person from achieving this goal, or why do they think this way or feel this way? So with personal training, it's more than just aesthetics, but there's a lot of behavioral changes that come with it. So there's a whole nother realm of psychology with that, which is just really cool. And then fast forward 2 years ago now. So I started my Energy Bites business. And so with that, there's a couple elements, but I originally made my Energy Bites for myself. I was having a ton of different reactions. It just wasn't a fun time for me. It was 2 years of all these reactions, couldn't figure out what I was allergic to, and I knew it had to probably be food. I thought it was also stress induced. Oftentimes when I am stressed out, and I'm sure other people experience this too, is my body will act a certain way. And so for me, I internalize it and my stomach will inflame. And so a lot of foods we eat end up affecting your body's inflammation. And so Ariana's Energy Bites came in a couple years ago when I decided to introduce those to my diet when I was on the Whole30. So the Whole30 is a food elimination diet. And like I said, I was experiencing all this inflammation. I was like, okay, let's try the Whole30. Let's do this elimination diet. And while I was on there, I ended up eating a ton of nuts all the time, and celery, and things that weren't really filling for me, but I could eat it on the diet. And I was overeating them. So I was like, okay, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing on this diet. So I went home. I was told my roommate, I was I'm eating nuts all day. I can't stay full. And she's like, I'm doing the same thing. And I was like, okay, because she was on it with me at the time. And so I was like, okay, let's make these Energy Bites. So we ended up getting all these different ingredients. We got some dates, coconut, and some nuts. And we just put them all together. And I was like, okay, these are amazing. They taste like cookie dough. And I was just so excited about them. I started making them all the time. That was where they all started. And then I kind of ended up getting a lot of good feedback. I was bringing them to clients and friends and family, and they were like, you should turn this into something. And I was like, yeah, okay, let me see what I can do. And so I ended up looking into how I could turn it into a business. And that's kind of where I've been at for the last 2 years now.
That's awesome because it incorporates so much. As I dove deeper into getting to know more people in the health and wellness industry, there's this synchrony of people think that that's working out or losing weight or just having kind of the specific goal rather than it being a lifestyle, living a healthy lifestyle and living a life of wellness, right? And all the ingredients that come into play to actually have that and to even be mindful about what's occurring for your body. I'm one to say, a lot of times I don't know what's happening in my body. I'm a trash disposal. I eat a bunch of stuff and nothing ever really happens. I never really gain weight. But to learn about those healthy balances based on my intentionality, my goal, and what things I could be making, and the fact that you go and you started a business based on something you in reaction to your body that you weren't okay with anymore, that this feeling that just kept on coming up, and it's like, what could be the solution? And you dive into that, then transformed into a business model.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it kind of goes to show, like, if you are really passionate about something, like you dive into it. Like, what can you do? What are you passionate about? Why are you passionate about it? And it's really important to know why this is your passion. What are the reasons you care? Because that will end up being like your core values for your business. Yeah. And so for me, it's like, it was based on food elimination. And I've been able to kind of have that go hand in hand with my personal training because it is a healthy snack. So they kind of go hand in hand. This is a healthy snack you're grabbing instead of chips, right? Something that's not going to fill you up so much.
I don't have any chips around here. I was snacking on some chips before, but yeah. I really love that you say that point because, even when I speak to people about my business and about my practice and my mission and what I'm creating around the world, a lot of times I'm met with, well, you know what that is, so it's easier for you to do that. But it wasn't something that we always knew, right? A lot of times it's something that in our commitment to our passion, in our commitment to explore and being really curious and playing around with what that could look like, what that could be, it stemmed in a whole nother level of practice in my passion. And that systemized to look into a business. Because when I first started this, I picked up a camera because I moved to Spain to coach for a company. And when I moved to Spain, I wanted to take nicer pictures than my disposable camera pictures, which is what I would use before then. And so when I moved to Spain, I picked up the camera. I just went there and I started taking pictures, and I really fell in love with watching people in how they relate to their reality. And as I coach, I work on people specifically with that. So to see that dynamic of both of them now over time of constantly beating on my craft and exploring and entertaining what that could look like turned into a business. So I love that in your passion came from more of this curiosity and wanting something different or change and trying to discover what that might be. And you stumbled upon this thing that mirrors your passion of working as a trainer. So I have a question. So when did all this start? How did you get into, I know you said when you were 12, you started going to the gym, but what's your story of the life experiences that really led you that feel like, okay, I'm aligned on my path? Was it something that you discovered over time, or was it moments? What was that for you?
I think for me, it's like, it's not a specific moment, but it's been kind of like the reoccurring, like working with a person and building up a relationship where there is trust built. Mm-hmm. And at that point, they feel comfortable enough to work past their comfort zone. I think for me, like that's the biggest rewarding part for me. I can have someone break down their own barriers that are in their minds that they've thought up, or maybe people have told them, or they've just been having maybe a negative mindset. There's something that's curious in them that they want to do better and they want to make a change, but they just need a little help or a nudge in the right direction, or someone who's a professional to like help them with that journey. And so for me, it's like the fact that I could do that with clients, working one-on-one training. I mean, we're not going like ham right away. We're building up strength, and we're also building up consistency. So watching people create those habits for themselves, and then them coming to me and they're like, hey, like I did this, or I exercised on my own, like that's the part that keeps me super motivated doing what I'm doing, personal training. And my Energy Bites is just like it's just part of that. Like that came out of my own thing, and now I'm sharing it with the world. So they're not necessarily related, but they do work together.
Right. Yeah, it's the common denominator, right? And there's people that I work with who are trying to discover what is their passion, what's their mission, what are they out to really create. It might be redefining right now in their career. And one of the things I tell them is, what's your superpower? I call it a superpower. Like, what's your superpower? Is it empathy? Is it excitement? Do you get people pumped? Do you get people empowered? Do you meet people where they are so they feel your compassion, and do they feel guided? Do they trust you? We all have a natural reaction that we cause out into the world with the people around us. That's why our best friends are our best friends. That's why the people that love us for these reasons. So if we could tap into that, plus attach a skill set to it, and to work with people in that method, then that's really what sets us apart. There's tons of trainers out there, right? And there's people who might be working with consciousness, but to you, building both of them and doing it in your way is what I imagine open up that level of successes. So why the health and wellness world? Why working out? Why being active? That kind of stuff. Like what was that you got into it when you were 12 years old? Because that's not a usual time to go start working out and lifting weights and stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I was 12 years old. I was mostly on like the cardio machines next to my mom, or doing some like little like those ready-made machines, not necessarily like free weights, but I think it was a part of being an athlete that's where I was like attracted to do that. Plus it was my mom. She was healthy, she's fit, she's beautiful, and she makes really good food. So I was just like, let me follow my mom's footsteps, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think like that's actually a really positive thing as like a parent, to have something like that influence their child like that. Because look at me today. It's like so many years later, I'm still in this world. And I think the reason why I'm so attracted to this world is that it's a science, and there's always new information coming out, and there's always different things that you can do to change certain parts of your system. And I think for me, I just really enjoy ingredients, and I really enjoy the fact that, okay, this ingredient, let's say coconut oil, I use them in my bites, and I can use them in my hair as like a deep conditioning product. Like, so it's like you can also use it on skin for scars. So it's a really universal ingredient, and it's like, it's so good for you. It's natural. So I think I'm just fascinated by the science. And I think that's why I like choosing to be in this world. I think people can if they change their gut biome, they can change their mindset. And I think that's really important. If you want to make positive changes, like, it starts with your gut. I mean, your gut is such a reaction to your environment and things that are around you. If I'm stressed out, well, I can feel it in my belly. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And when I eat certain foods, that can inflame my belly, but I can also cook with cinnamon or turmeric, and I can start to reverse those effects because those are anti-inflammatory agents. So yeah, I think that's why I like to choose. I choose to be a part of this world.
Yeah.
Just one of my many facets, but.
Yeah. Well, that leads me into a question. So for those people who experience their body reaction towards stress, towards fear, towards frustration, or whatever that might be, do you have any suggestions as far as like your profession or the things that you do? Would you have any suggestions for the people who feel that stuff brewing in their body like that as a reaction towards what's occurring for them?
If somebody is experiencing a bodily effect, and maybe it's a mindset or a thought, maybe it's physical, they're feeling in their body. One thing that works really well for me, if I'm completely in my mind and connected to my body, is just breathing into it. So breathing into that thought or that pain, and just making room for it, and just focusing on it for 30 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes, and just kind of easing into it. I think like that will go into regulating your nervous system and your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. So we're talking about our bellies, for example. So there is something that I have a lot of clients do, and I try to teach these to people who are working at their jobs and at their desks and they're stressed. It's called belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. This is a really good self-regulator. So if I were to tell someone, hey, you're experiencing this, I would go to that breath, the diaphragmatic breathing.
Yeah, that's really solid. It's actually something that I've been learning. I think it was a year ago that I was in a meditative practice, and sitting up posture, like holding that position, there's certain aches that come. And the aches sometimes are associated to our mental perspective on how we relate to a certain topic, and it starts brewing physically in our body. It doesn't just stay in our mind. And sometimes we could experience that, as you're saying, as we could experience stress or anxiety, it shows up in our bodies if we could be in touch with that. So yeah, absolutely, definitely aligning with the breathing into that. One, it's not this resistance thing that you're fighting or trying to avoid, but you're actually encountering it in a very kind way, and to like really pace that stuff and create that space. So that's a really awesome practice to even start being curious about this stuff. Again, Say It Loud is really about a place where we could come together and hear about how you are working with people, the story behind that, and the ways that manifest into reality. But also for the people who haven't engaged with you yet, who are home right now, or they're finding difficulties in adapting into the reality. They might be stuck with that feeling, and that feeling might actually be growing within themselves. What would you suggest for the people who are either, one, for the people who might be interested in elevating their health and wellness, and two, for people who are just not really knowing what they're looking for right now and just looking for where to channel their energy?
So yeah, that's a really good question, because there are so many ways that you can go about the extra time that we are having right now. And for me, I'm like, what better time than now to start working out, right? You can do it at home. There's so much like free content out. I'm also teaching like a couple times a week virtually. But for one, I think people just need to start connecting and talking to their networks. We have so many good tools just through Instagram and YouTube and these other platforms. I think people are friendly, and especially right now, like people are out there making a lot of content. So they're online and just reaching out and like having no shame, and reaching out to multiple people, because maybe not everyone will respond or have time to respond. Maybe some people miss the message. Not to be discouraged, but to maybe reach back out again and follow up if you're really actually passionate. And that actually, it's good for you, but it also shows the person like, oh, this person reached out to me before. Like the biggest thing I would suggest is like practicing the breath we were just talking about, the belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, just to like help our mental state, but also helping like moving. We gotta move. We're in our houses most of the time right now. If you can't go on a walk outside and socially distance, then just moving inside. People can feel free to come to my workout class. They can also reach out to me if they're interested to talk about any sort of wellness questions or cooking, food recipes. That's kind of my alleyway. My bites is just one thing, but I'm really into like cooking and a bunch of other stuff in the kitchen. So yeah, I think that's my biggest suggestions. Like, yeah,
I've had my plan of moving and exercising here as same at home, and I haven't been sticking to it as much as I could have been. I sit down, and lately I've been sitting down at my desk from like morning to night and just working and plowing forward with that. But yeah, I think that's really fantastic, to have a platform even like yours to really be held accountable towards moving, setting that regimen, coming together with community, asking other experts, reaching out. Don't stop at the first question, because I've reached out plenty of times before and I hadn't had a reply. But it's the consistency of being able to, this is what I'm trying to create for my life. Now, where can I find the answers, and going a step forward to that? And I really love that you're a platform that from your food intake to your practices and rituals of your exercises, that you could find this in a great place. So where can people find your work, follow you, check out your energy bites, jump onto a class? Where can people see your stuff?
Yeah, so I update my Instagram with all my information as far as, and you can find me on Instagram at Ariana_energy. And that's where I have a link to my website, which is arianasenergybites.com. And I'm doing free shipping right now for direct orders for my website, which is super exciting. I just recently did that. And yeah, so that's where the people can find my bites, and my classes are updated weekly in my bio on my Instagram. That's the only place I'm really advertising for it. And then I also am emailing the people who are on my email newsletter list. So if people want to be on that, they would just want to DM me. Definitely hop in on a workout with one of the next weeks. But if you have an hour or a half hour, I do 1 hour class, and I also do a half hour class on Fridays. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and people are I think it's like really helpful for people's mindsets right now, just to like take a little break in the middle of the day and move.
Okay, cool. I might have to follow and check up on you on that, so I could jump on one of your classes to see how this thing goes.
Yeah, anytime.
Cool. All right, guys. So for everyone listening, again, Say It Loud is a platform where we get to hear about people who are out into the world, who have their business, who have their nonprofit, who have their craft, and just utilizing their story, their past, their come from, and transforming it in a way that's really good, get to be at service while winning in their own lives. So make sure to check Ariana out, check out her bites, check out her page, follow her stuff. I mean, I even scrolling through your page as you see all these delicious meals. So like inspire ideas for if you guys are curious to go and spark up your own, but to hold yourself accountable towards health and wellness and elevating that to a next level in your life. And so yeah, Ariana, thank you so much for jumping on the call with me today. I really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you so much. It's good talking to you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So for everyone listening, please stay tuned to more episodes of Say It Loud. Sending out tons of love. Say it.
Thanks.